Hi, Shanna here. So today I'm so excited. I'm answering the question, what is the autoimmune protocol? What is the AIP? So the autoimmune protocol, also abbreviated AIP in my own words, is an elimination diet that helps autoimmune disease sufferers find relief from their autoimmune symptoms. But it's not just a diet, it's also a lifestyle. So the autoimmune protocol has a nutrition aspect to it, for the nutritional support of autoimmune disease, and then it also has a lifestyle aspect to it. And the lifestyle aspect is so important too. And sometimes that lifestyle aspect is forgotten as we're talking about AIP, the autoimmune protocol, but the lifestyle aspect is important too. So one of my favorite quotes, so my go-to resource on the autoimmune protocol is Dr. Sarah Ballantyne. I love how she digs into the science behind what's going on in the body with autoimmune disease, why the autoimmune protocol works. Scientifically speaking, on a cellular level, what's going on in our bodies? Why is this working? So Dr. Sarah Ballantyne, one of my favorite quotes on the autoimmune protocol from her, says this, and it explains it beautifully. She said, "The paleo autoimmune protocol, typically abbreviated AIP, is a powerful strategy that uses diet and lifestyle to regulate the immune system, putting an end to these attacks and giving the body the opportunity to heal." So the autoimmune protocol has an elimination phase of the diet as well as a reintroduction phase. So the elimination phase, what happens is we cut out certain foods that are known triggers for the immune system. So some of the foods that we cut out, it's kind of like, I know that at least for me, I was like, these are healthy foods. Like, why are you having me cut out eggs? Why are you having me cut out tomatoes? Like, what's the deal? Well, the deal is, and this is as basic as you can get, is that those foods that we cut out during the elimination phase, they are foods that trigger the immune system. And if you dive into Dr. Sarah's work and her resources and her books and her lecture series, she dives deep into that. She'll lay it all out for you and explain it. So we're just saying basic today. So the elimination phase is typically like 30 to 60 to 90 days, typically at least that amount of time. And really that's just a general guideline. The autoimmune protocol is not a one size fits all, like here you go, stay on it for 30 days and then do this. It's really important that you listen to your body and that you time your reintroductions right, that you don't rush those reintroductions. I know that it can be so tempting once you start getting into the, oh, I'm feeling better. Oh, these autoimmune symptoms are gone and I'm not feeling the way I was. I must be ready to reintroduce all these foods. Maybe you are, but maybe you aren't. I wasn't ready when I started reintros and I started them too early. So 30 to 90 days is just a basic minimum guideline, and then some people stay on it for way longer. So reintroduction. So we have the elimination phase, and you eliminate things like grains, dairy, soy, alcohol, sugar, refined sugar, sugar substitutes, trans fats, processed vegetable oils, more. So I did a blog post about this, what is the AIP, and there's some great graphics in that blog post. I will link it below. So take a look at that. I also have links for a detailed list of what to exclude. So on the elimination phase, now that we talk about what to exclude, what do we include? So the foods that we include on the elimination phase are just as important as the foods that we exclude. So foods to include like quality meats, fish, seafood, organ meats, lots of vegetables except nightshades. I don't know. So nightshades are things like potatoes, not sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are okay on the AIP. So not nightshades. So potatoes, tomatoes, eggplant, peppers, any spices will derive from those. There's a few more too. And again, in the blog post I link, we'll have that complete list. So foods to include, like I said, vegetables, not nightshades, lots of fruits, herbs, spices except the nightshade spices. There's a new gut microbiome superfoods category. Check that out. I link to something in that too. So when you're on an elimination diet, it can be so easy to focus on, oh, I can't have that, I can't have that, I can't have that. And it can feel overwhelming, but it's just as important that we focus on what we can have. There's a ton of foods on the autoimmune protocol that we can have. There's a ton of, like, if recipes is your jam, there's a ton of recipes that you can make with all of those ingredients. There's tons of amazing AIP food bloggers that come up with these tasty recipes. My family loves AIP recipes. My husband and my kids don't even mind eating AIP. So they don't eat AIP all the time, but when I make a meal, they usually, some of their favorites are AIP recipes. So, but if your deal is just to keep it simple, you can totally keep the AIP simple. Just get out your list of, you know, these are the foods I include. These are the meats I like. These are the cuts of meat. These are the, you know, seasonings I like. These are the ways I like to cook. These are the vegetables. And then you can like mix and match so many meals. So really, I very rarely anymore get bored on the autoimmune protocol. Okay, so next, the reintroduction phase of the autoimmune protocol, the reintroduction phase of the AIP. So there's a specific order of reintroductions that are recommended. Certain foods that you need to introduce first, followed by the next one, and you always want to reintroduce one food at a time. And the reason why you want to do that is because you're trying to identify foods that trigger your immune system. So once you go through the elimination phase, and in an ideal situation, you found relief from your autoimmune symptoms and you kind of have like a clean slate. Now it's time to like reintroduce some foods, to challenge some foods, because as I mentioned, some of those foods that we eliminated are nutrient dense foods. They're really, really good for you, right? But you want to make sure that they don't trigger you and your immune system and bring back those autoimmune symptoms. So that's why you do it one at a time. That's why you do it systematically. There's a way that you reintroduce foods. It's very specific, down to like what portion size, what days, how long to wait in between reintroductions. So I will link to information that will help you out in my blog post as well. So the reintroduction phase, it can last a long time. So I am still in my reintroduction phase and I'm still reintroducing foods, and I've had some successful reintros and some not so successful reintros. So that's the reintroduction phase. So one note on the reintroduction phase: if you reintroduce a food that you are finding triggers your autoimmune symptoms, you just eliminate it back, and theoretically those symptoms will subside again. And just because you tried to reintroduce a food at one point in time and it was a failed reintroduction, meaning you had to eliminate it again, doesn't mean that you cannot reintroduce that food later. Sometimes our bodies just need a little bit more time to heal and to recover before we add those foods back in. So that's why it's really important not to rush reintros, to make sure that you're listening to your body, that you're giving the reintros time. Okay, so let's talk lifestyle. AIP Lifestyle. What is it? What does it include? What are we talking about here? So the AIP Lifestyle includes things like sleep. So making sure that we're getting enough sleep and making sure that we're getting a good quality of sleep. Stress, making sure that we're reducing our stress, that we're finding ways to manage our stress. Movement. So movement's huge, making sure that we are getting movement without over-exercising, right? Over-exercising can really trigger those autoimmune symptoms if we're not careful. So things like walking, yoga, light strength training, there's all kinds of great activities that support the immune system that are great for living with autoimmune disease. Another lifestyle factor is connection, making sure that we're connecting with the people in our lives that we love, that we're building those relationships, that we're getting out in nature and we're connecting with nature too. So all of those lifestyle factors are an important part of the AIP. And like I said, when we talk about AIP, a lot of the time we're focusing on the food because, let's be real, like it's a lot of eliminations to keep track of. But lifestyle factors are also so important. And it's important too when you're in that reintroduction phase and you're trying to identify, okay, is this food triggering me? You want to make sure you got all your lifestyle factors in check, because maybe that food's not triggering you. Maybe not getting good sleep for the past 2 nights is triggering you. Maybe that food is triggering you. Or maybe you're blaming autoimmune symptoms on a food that you reintroed, but maybe you're not handling stress very well. Maybe you're over-exercising and you hit the gym too hard, and your autoimmune symptoms has nothing to do with that egg white that you reintroduced earlier in the day. So anyway, it's really important that we keep our lifestyle factors in check, especially as we go through our reintroductions, and we should keep them in check anyway. Okay, so now you know what the AIP is, you know what it's all about, and you're kind of thinking, hey, I think I want to try this. My autoimmune symptoms, I'm done with them. I might as well give this a try, see if I can get my life back. So here's some quick tips for you if that's what you're thinking. Focus on what to include rather than what to exclude. You still want to know what to exclude and make sure you exclude them, but don't obsess about those. Make sure that you're focusing on how many foods you can eat. Right? There's so many options. Sometimes we think in a limited mindset instead of an abundance mindset. There's a lot you can eat AIP. There's a lot of recipes out there, or you can keep it simple. Next tip, change it up, right? You don't want to fall into the trap of eating the same thing every day. Now, if that's what it takes to get you on AIP for a few days is eating the same thing, then, but just try not to do that in the long term. Next tip, so if you need to take more time with your eliminations, with adopting all of the eliminations, that is 100% a-okay. So if you do not feel like you can jump right in, if you know gluten is gonna be hard, I need some time to just focus on getting gluten out, I know it's hidden in a bunch of foods, let me focus on getting gluten out for a week, and then I'll worry about dairy and soy, and then I'll worry about these other foods. That's totally fine. The autoimmune protocol, you can make it your own, you can take your time, or you can jump right in. So either way works. Okay, next tip, and possibly my biggest tip, is know when you need to work with your medical team. So if you suspect you have underlying gut issues, if you suspect that something else is going on, know when to work with your medical team and assemble a medical team around you. And also if you're like, this AIP thing is overwhelming, I know I need to do it, but it's overwhelming, there are AIP certified health coaches to help you along the way, to help you with your individual circumstances. So I will link that below in my blog post too. Lastly, please know there are so many AIP resources out there, depending on what you're looking for. There's lots of websites, there's some books, there's some courses. I will link to all my favorite AIP resources in my blog post, and let me know if you have any questions. If you're just curious, hopefully now you kind of know what the AIP is all about. If you're a fellow autoimmune warrior and you're thinking about giving it a try, let me know if you need any support, if you need any questions, I've got your back.